Hello, everyone. Today is April 13th, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. And I am running the meeting today. I'm Terry Crawford. I am the vice chair. Our chair is not able to attend the meeting today. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please, everyone, silence your cell phones. And thank you very much. And we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Madam Vice Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Second.
Thank you. And I have not received any cards. We do not have any communications from the public today. Oh, you're right, sorry. Let's vote on the approval of the agenda.
Yes.
Apologize. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay, hi, there was Mark. Any opposed? No. Motion approves. We're going to move to approval of the minutes. Regular meeting, March 16th. Any questions or revisions that need to be made to the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
A vote on the minutes, approval of the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, then we will move on to our monthly operations report for March 2023.
Good morning, members of the board. We will go through the operation report by division, and we will start with the deputy director projects on page 27.
Good morning, board. For the month of March, excuse me, I took the following, worked on my national certification courses. That was a total of 3 courses taken. As a follow-up to last month's report surrounding the website review, we met with communications and came up with a plan of action for future changes and updates to the website. We also began providing updates for the special election, the May 16th election. As it pertains to the audit report, we had our exit conference just yesterday morning. So next month's meeting, we'll be able to present the findings from the finalized report. Excuse me. Also, as far as it pertains to internal operations, we met with HR to discuss a plan of action to implementing some divisional KPIs that's surrounding the performance review that we had spoken of last month. We'll be receiving training this coming Tuesday for the managers surrounding the success factors that I provided that information to you all in a separate email. That concludes my report for the month of March. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Estridge. Any questions, comments? No? All right, move on.
On page 28, absentee.
Good morning. In the month of March, the absentee division, the governor called to order on March 17th. excuse me, I'm sorry. Governor Kemp signed an executive order on March 17th for the HD 68 election. So we began monitoring all outlets for absentee requests. This includes emails, faxes, and regular mail. We continued with our weekly meetings with the staff, roundtables regarding changes to Jarvis and how that affects the absentee division, leadership. We assisted additional or different divisions when needed. We also attended the Secretary of State Jarvis question and answer session that they had. We reviewed and discussed the two bills, SB 129 and SB 222. And there's an overview of the way those bills affect absentee. We also sent out the notices to the different municipalities for the voter review panels. We continued researching automated ballot mailing systems. We spoke with vendors, Tatnall, Quadient, and Runbeck. We continue to scan and index all applications and ballots from the previous elections, and we continue to monitor the updates to Jarvis. And as of now, we received 4 applications for the House District 68 election. They have all been rejected because nobody is in House District 68.
Any questions, comments? No? Okay, we can move on.
Okay. On page 29, administration.
Good morning, board and citizens. For the month of March under administration, we did our routine administrative functions such as submitting requisitions to establish purchase orders and submitted invoices for payment. We also conducted routine HR functions such as processing payroll, and provided information regarding unemployment claims. The updates on recruitment are as follows. For the registration officers, we recently received all of the register for the eligible applicants, and that information is forwarded for interviewing process. For the registration manager, the register is also available, and we are preparing interviewing process. For the administrator coordinator, that register is not opened as yet, so we are still waiting on HR to provide that information. For the voter education outreach coordinator, we have interviewed and we have submitted the elected candidate. For the executive assistant, we are also waiting on the register for that. For the election chief, we received the register and we are currently performing interviewing. In regards to the IGA for the November election, we have submitted IGAs to the counties, and we have received signed IGAs from Chattahoochee Hills, City of East Point, Fairburn, City of Hapeville, Johns Creek, Mountain Park, Roswell, City of South Fulton, and Union City. And these are just pending BRE approval and the board approval. This concludes the report for March 2023. Thanks.
Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Can you tell me how many people are you interviewing for the election chief?
Yes, ma'am. We got a registry of 7, and we interviewed 3 out of the 7.
And what about for the registration officer and the manager?
The manager, we're beginning interviews today. That was a registry of, I believe, 20, and out of the 20, we're interviewing 8. For a registration officer, we got a list of 70 applicants, so we have not determined at this point. Registry was released on Monday. It had over 70 applicants, so we have not determined the exact number that we're going to interview at this point.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
Wrong button. On that note, do you have an idea of how long it's going to take to hire an elections chief, or how long the process is going to be if all things go accordingly?
Yes, sir. Best case scenario, we're aiming for the 26th as the start date for the elections chief.
April?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That is, again, best case. If anything happens in between surrounding the onboarding, then it may be delayed, but that is our goal.
Okay. Also, on the intergovernmental agreements, I noticed that X number went out and Y number came back. Does that mean the other cities are planning to do their own, or we just hadn't gotten to that point yet?
Yes, sir. Basically, a couple of the cities asked if they could, because they have to take it before their board, which was not before the deadline. So they asked for some extension to return those. So that's the ones that are missing were due to them requesting a later date to submit those to us.
So we may get them next month, or sometime between.
Correct, yes, sir.
And I noticed that Mountain Park was on here. We starting to do theirs? Because I thought we always never did theirs, or that we just do it as
As they
Customary.
requested, but for the past few years, we have done theirs.
we have done.
Yeah,
theirs?
we have.
Oh, I thought we.
They
Okay.
used to go to Cherokee, I believe, but then.
Yeah, it was Cherokee.
Yeah,
It's
but-
Forsyth.
That's Forsyth.
Forsyth.
Yeah, so, but they've started coming our way for the past few years.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Okay, for elections, on page 30, I will report for that division. The ballot project for House District 68 has been completed. The ballot has been proofed, and we should be receiving the ballot project today. LNA has been posted in the in the AJC, as required by SB 202. The ad has been placed. And as far as, there's no further precinct location changes that was approved by the board last for the special meeting we had this month. That's all there is to report for elections.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Ms. Williams. We can move on.
Okay, for election day, all poll workers and poll managers have been recruited for the May 16th election, and training is beginning to commence at the end of this month. And the revisions to the manual are being made at this time in regards to anything that has to pertain to election day for the new Jarvis system. And that concludes election day report.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? In the I have a question. In the training for the Garvis, there were some bullet points that they made in the training that I took. I just want to make sure they're incorporated into our training manual.
Yes, so we did meet with the Secretary of State's office in regards to any Jarvis updates, and they're providing us that information. There's still changes being made at this time, but they've given us what they have up to date.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Kathleen? No questions? Okay, we can move on. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, page 31, Finance.
Good morning, Board. The finance update for the month of March, we have completed the House District 68 special election budget for May and June. Yesterday at the BOC meeting, the budget sounding was approved for the budget for the May and June special election called by the Governor of Georgia for the May 16th election and possible June runoff. We also have completed working with Dover Staffing in order to hire the temporary employees needed for the special election. So we have onboarded some of the temps April 10th as well as April 17th. Some of them will be coming into the office to prepare for the special election. We will be updating the November and December budgets as we get IGAs back. At this point, we're expecting them all to come back, but we will provide updates to the board if there's changes. We have completed all of the work that was required by the Internal Audit Division as they've done a review of our department. And we are preparing the response to the draft audit report currently, which is due back by April 26th. So that concludes the finance report.
Any questions, comments? I have a question. As far as Dover staffing goes, have we gotten the pay straightened out between them and us? So there's no more issues with the workers being paid on time? In a timely
No, we
manner?
have not had any issues with that. They're on a biweekly payroll cycle as we requested them to do, which was a change from last year, because last year they were on a weekly payroll cycle. So we've gotten them to shift towards the end of last year to a biweekly payroll cycle, and we haven't encountered any issues with that.
Okay, all right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, we can move on.
On page 32, information systems.
Good morning, Board. In March, Assistant Specialist started training for the May 16 special election, including training, LNA testing, technical support for both advanced in-person and election day, election night reporting, and post-election procedures. And based on these items, we developed a project plan and assigned tasks to staff to better support the election. And also in March, we got a notification from the Secretary of State's office informing us about the Secretary of State office starting to swap poll pads for poll pad devices provided by the SOS for the new cellular-enabled poll pad. So as of last week, that process was completed last week, Thursday. So now we have about 660 poll pads, cellular-enabled poll pads, in preparation for the May election.
Okay, that's good. I have a question. Do we have any other poll pads that we bought, the department bought on its own?
Yes, we have about 638 that Fulton County bought.
So at some point, those need to be replaced also?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Oh, wait.
Quick backup question for you. One of the things we talked about was using shifts for poll workers. Will you all be using shifts for poll workers during the special election?
No, not for this
yet.
election.
I'm sorry?
Not for this election.
Not for this election, okay.
Are you going to try and roll that out for the November election?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
So not for the special, but for November.
Yes, for them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, registration.
Good morning, Board and everyone. In the month of March, the Registration Division worked on processing applications. We also attended Jarvis training, question and answer with the state in regards to Jarvis. We've also been monitoring and implementing the weekly updates that are provided by the state. We also work with our GIS department and a third-party vendor in regards to researching street issues, doing the municipal street audits, preparing for the upcoming redistricting, and also reviewing the voter rolls for duplicate records and invalid address or commercial addresses. Currently, there are 753,887 actively registered voters, 103,093 inactive voters, bringing us to a total number of 856,980 registered voters. In the month of March, we also received 18,470 applications. So we are working on processing all of the applications of applicants in House District 68 in order to meet the VR deadline of April 17th, and we will. In the month of March, we also worked hard on updating the challenge letter, and we also worked with communications to create an insert. So we heard the concerns of the voters at the last challenge hearing. The letter has been updated, and an insert will be provided to voters to know what type of documentation is sufficient for making those updates. And that will conclude the monthly operations report for the registration division.
Okay. Questions, comments? No. I have a question. You said we received 18,470 applications. We also have applications to be processed, 34,832. Is that inclusive of the 18,000?
Yes, ma'am, it is. So the 34,832 is an overall of what needs to be processed, but the 18,470 came in the month of March alone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Information systems.
Okay, so we're on page 34, supplies and logistics. In regards to
sorry.
supplies and logistics, they are currently getting ready for the May 16th election. They have confirmed all locations to be utilized, and they are ordering and packing supplies at this time. And that concludes supplies and logistics.
Any questions? Comments? No? Okay. Thank you very much. We can move on.
Oh, just one
Wait.
question, and then there will be a round table discussion afterwards to talk about Jarvis and to get an idea of how it's working and.
Yes, after the May 16th election, we will hold a roundtable with advanced voting and election day to get their feedback.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, voter education, page 35.
Good morning, board members and citizens. For the monthly report for March, we began preparations for the District 68 special election, which is where our focus has been. So I've reached out, working with the mayor and city council members in those cities, which impacts for District 68, City of Fairburn, Union City, and South Fulton, to get some events planned. So we're trying to do some, we've added some for this week so that we can try to make sure we have done our due diligence to do some events out that way prior to the voter registration deadline, as well as making sure we put some other events out prior to early voting taking place. We work with external affairs. We've updated collateral material for District 68. So we do have the brochures. They came in last week. So after this meeting, we actually do have an event today. So I will actually be taking some of those brochures to Fairburn, City of South Fulton, and Union City, to some of the key high traffic areas, just to drop off those brochures. And then also in preparation for the municipal election in November, we've updated all of those brochures as well, and we've gotten all of those in, so we'll have those ready to go. And we're still working with high schools to get some of the seniors registered prior to graduation, as well as always reaching out to our different agencies, nonprofit organizations, as well, to ensure that we are working with them to get events planned and programs. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Questions, comments? No? Okay.
Madam Vice Chair, I omitted someone's ops report, advanced voting, so if you allow her to give her update.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, good day, morning, board. Just a quick update. The trainers and I had received training on the new cellular poll pads. We are finalizing the training supplemental packet, which would include the procedural process, cellular poll pads, and a review of Jarvis. And just to let you know that we are starting training next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays at the Election Preparation Center. Early voting starts on April 24th. So we're still preparing for the municipal election, and I think we're on board and we are ready for next week. So that's my little quick update. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the operations report.
Okay. So. Registration, registration updates. Review of challenge submissions.
Thank you. We just wanted to let you all and the public know that we are currently creating a process in regards to challenge submissions. We will work actively on that and have updates on our website by the end of this month.
Okay, great. Wonderful, thank you. Let me just write this down so I don't forget. And also, as far as the list maintenance go, the duplicate voter audit.
Yes, so we would like to provide you with, you all with the voter list maintenance update. I believe it is included on page, thank you, 43.
There it is, yes.
So in regards to duplicates, as of March 8th, we received a quantity of 1,098 on our dashboard. So we did work diligently on those, and as of April 12th, we had them, they were down to 39. We also had our GIS department to do a audit of the voter rolls, and there's a summary provided before you in regards to what was found. These findings are as of March 28th.
Okay,
Okay, yes, so we are working on those, and in regards to reviewing and finalizing those changes, we have a completion date of May 12th.
okay,
We are also working with our GIS department so they can assist us with doing a scheduled routine review bi-weekly so that we are aware of those updates.
okay. I was noticing in the information that you put out. Okay, where is it? I was from the SOS, I believe.
The Buzz post on April 10th,
Yeah.
that's in the packet.
Yeah. That is,
It's on page 41, if that's what you're referring to.
there it is, yeah,
Okay.
sorry, yeah. That's, that was it starts on 39, 30, and, no, 39, good morning. This is good information, so thank you for sharing it with us.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions?
And I wanted to also, for the Blue Raster report, the third-party vendor that we're working with, we are still actively working with them, and we had a meeting with them on yesterday. We also have them reviewing the voter rolls. The project is on schedule, and we estimate to have the results from Blue Raster on April 30th. And they're currently just revising their parcel layers, helping us to identify any homeless shelter addresses, any non-residential addresses, commercial or business addresses, and also invalid addresses.
Okay, all right, great. So Garvis doesn't pick those up?
So there is a way for us to put them into the system once they have been identified. So Jarvis does not identify them at the beginning of the process, but once we enter them into the system as invalid commercial business shelter, then it helps us maintain the voter rolls.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I had a question. I wanted to go to the challenge letter. Did you have some information to share about that, or before
I believe it's in your packet at the end of the packet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have it. I just didn't know if
Okay.
there was a briefing that you wanted to make note of. But I do have some edit to the language that I will share with you after the meeting. And then I also would like to see in the letter some direction to the voter that if they are using a business address, some direction on how they can update their registration to include a residential address, so that they don't have to come, if they can address the issue on their own with the department, then they don't have to come to a hearing.
So Dr. Ruth, yes, would you like that in the letter, or would the insert that we created with communications be sufficient?
Yeah, it's in,
But the insert, I think there should be some reference to see the insert. you
Yes,
know,
ma'am.
Yeah, in the letter.
Yes, ma'am, make a note
I
of
agree,
that.
because
Yeah.
even when I looked at it, that was one of the things I was gonna bring up. What can I do if I'm an elector or I'm a voter and I get this letter? It seems like the only thing you can do is come down here to a hearing. Just, if I read the letter. I know the insert is in there, but I think most people will freak out when they see the actual letter, and they will only focus on the letter unless it tells you to go look at the insert. You might glance at it, because I think about when I get stuff in the mail, you have your, this is not a bill, or this is a bill, and then you got 4 other letters or
That's true.
documents in there. You never look at them.
That's true.
You only look at what you think pertains, because you don't know how many pieces of mail you get. But if it's something that says, this, I think it's great the way you lay it out, this is what you can do, but if it's something that someone can do without having to come down here, or something they can do before they're required to come down here, if it kind of put it in bold or underlined or something, just to make them look at it. And then they can see. Now, if they still don't look, you can't help that, but at least you directed them to it. And I think
So-
that's what you're talking about.
Okay. So recommendation received, I'll get with Ms. Williams, and we will direct them to see the insert, and we will also emphasize prior to. So if you take care of it prior to the hearing, that you are not required to report in person. Yes, sir.
right.
Yeah, agreed. It's like, it's lost in that last paragraph, so we'll make sure it stands out more and it's highlighted and says the attachment as well. Those are good suggestions. Thank you.
And then the other suggestion that I had, and I wrote this out, is just in the beginning, it's your eligibility to vote or your qualifications to vote in Fulton, not their right to vote. I think that, we could take that language down a notch, yeah.
We will email you all an updated letter for your review. Thank you.
Okay, new business. Let's go to the legislative update.
You skipped, Madam Vice Chair. You skipped number 6.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I did. Approval of additional early voting location for special election, May 16th, 2023, South Fulton Service Center, South Annex, if needed.
Yes, ma'am. So we are, out of precaution, we did seek approval last meeting to get the Gladys Denard Library approved by the board, so thank you for that. We just want permission to open the South Annex if needed. We don't predict that we will need an additional location, but we want prior approval. We will train staff to be prepared to open it if necessary.
Okay. Motion to approve an additional early voting location for the special election.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Nope. Motion passes.
I think he said something. I'm not sure which one, but I thought I saw Mark.
Mark, did you say something?
Oh, okay.
You're being quiet today. All right. Legislative update.
You get a special microphone today.
Good Good morning, board members. My name is Jasmine Campbell. I am the legislative assistant for Fulton County, and I will be providing the 2023 legislative update on behalf of the Department of External Affairs. Next slide, please. The 2023 legislative session adjourned sine die on March 29th, and the governor's veto deadline is May 8th. Okay, hello, can you hear me? Okay, sorry about that. The 2023 legislative session adjourned sine die on March 29th, and the governor's veto deadline is May 8th. Bills that did not pass this year are eligible for passage during the 2024 legislative session. There were over 20 elections bills we were tracking this session that covered various topics such as runoffs, secure ballot storage, ranked choice voting, and related study committees, but only a few bills received final passage. Next slide, please. And the bills on this slide will show the past legislation. Senate Bill 129 makes several revisions to the Elections Code. The bill allows the state election board to appoint members of county boards of registration and elections to performance review boards, updates the language on absentee ballot applications sent by non-election officials. As on election day, voters will now be able to take up to 2 hours off work to vote during the early voting period. The time limit for county reporting on election day turnout is extended from 10 p.m. to 11:59 p.m., and the bill requires pre-certification tabulation or risk-limiting audits of at least one statewide contest after all elections. Senate Bill 222 prohibits local governments or election officials from accepting any contribution, donation, or service for the purpose of conducting elections in support of any person performing election duties. This preemption does not apply to the donation or use of voting locations, services provided by individuals without compensation, or goods that have a value of less than $500. Election superintendents, local governments, and boards of registration and elections are prohibited from accepting grants or gifts related to conducting elections from any entity other than the state of Georgia or the federal government. The state election board will create rules regarding equitable grant distribution to counties, and violators of this code section will be guilty of a felony, which is punishable by imprisonment of not less than 1 year and by a fine of not less than $10,000 if convicted. The legislation also removes the state election board's funding from the Secretary of State's office, making it a distinct unit in the state budget, and provides for appointment of an executive director of the state election board. Senate Resolution 214 confirmed the chairperson of the state election board, Mr. William Duffy Jr., who was appointed by Governor Kemp on June 6, 2022. Next slide, please. And this slide includes details on budget line items within the Secretary of State's fiscal year 2024 budget, which begins on July 1st. There is $513,018 to establish the state election board as a separate entity, which will only be attached to the office of the Secretary of State for administrative purposes, as outlined in Senate Bill 222. $550,000 for a data plan contract for upgraded poll pad check-in devices, which will improve speed for poll workers and decrease check-in times, especially during early voting. And $2 million for election equipment replacement to start the statewide transition to upgraded, uninterrupted power supplies for ballot marking devices, which are more reliable, more portable, and have a longer life cycle than the current power supply. Next slide, please. And this slide shows a few bills that we were watching closely that failed. I did want to highlight Senate Bill 114 because the Board of Commissioners voted and they took an opposed position. And this bill would have required a referendum for the creation of the city of Buckhead City during the November 2024 election, if it had passed. Next slide, please. And my department would like to express our gratitude to all board members and department staff that helped make the 2023 legislative session successful. For example, Chairperson Kathy Woolard and Director Nadine Williams presented an update with a focus on the cost of municipal elections to the Fulton County House delegation members on March 16th. Board members were willing to give testimony at committee hearings and reached out to elected officials when requested to express concerns or support for proposed legislation. Director Nadine Williams and staff provided quick responses to delegation members and internal staff on how implementation of proposed bills would impact the county. And last but not least, the legislative liaison for the department, LaShondra Littles, helped track legislation and contributed valuable feedback on bills, and that helps our lobbyists at the Capitol tremendously. So we appreciate everyone's engagement during this session, and we look forward to working with you all during the 2024 legislative session. And we'll be sending out a survey this summer to all of the departments, so if you guys have any specific policy requests, you can put that in that survey, and we'll work with you to get it on the legislative agenda if approved by the Board of Commissioners. And at this time, I will be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's move on to the approval of intergovernmental agreements. Are we supposed to have a copy of those? No?
No.
Okay.
I can provide you a copy, but it doesn't require the board to sign.
Okay, that's fine.
So we are seeking approval of intergovernmental agreements for the cities of Chattahoochee Hills, East Point, Fairburn, Hapeville, Johns Creek, Mountain Park, Roswell, South Fulton, and Union City for the November 2023 election.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve intergovernmental agreements. That's the second time I messed that word up today. This must be, I don't have enough coffee. Motion to approve intergovernmental agreements between the cities of Chattahoochee Hills, East Point, Fairburn, Hapeville, Johns Creek, Mountain Park, Roswell, South Fulton, and Union City.
Second.
Any questions? No. May I have a vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Mark?
No,
Oh, okay.
fine.
All right. Motion carries. And we now get to the executive session. I don't believe we have any reason for an executive session? Nope. Okay.
Wow.
Well, we're done.
Motion to adjourn. 42
Second.
minutes flat.
There you go.
Second.
Meeting adjourned.